Jack Reacher, where's the drive that Anna Merrick gave to you before she killed herself on the train?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Do you think we're stupid?
Yes.
Lila just told Reacher the truth. She's not dying of leukemia. She's not Sampson's daughter. Everything she said in episode 1 was a lie, and what she replaces it with is so much worse. Let's break down every single detail of One Small Step, because this episode changes the entire shape of Season 4. Here's what's coming in this video. I'm going to give you the full, confirmed plot of Episode 3, scene by scene. I'm going to break down Lila's real story, and why it fits the conspiracy far better than her original lie did. I'm going to explain the Cahill and Sampson connection, because it goes back decades further than anyone expected. I'm going to cover that shocking rooftop ending, and what it actually confirms. And I'm going to close with where Episode 4 picks up, based on everything this episode sets in motion. Let's get into it. Let's start with the confirmed release details. Reacher Season 4, Episodes 1 through 3, dropped simultaneously on August 12, 2026, on Prime Video. Episode 3 is titled One Small Step. New episodes now release weekly, every Wednesday, through the confirmed September 16th finale. Episode 4, Karambits and Pieces, arrives August 19th. Multiple critics have specifically called One Small Step the strongest chapter of the 3-episode premiere, combining terrific action, a more personal Reacher story, and a shocking death that sends the entire season's conspiracy in a dangerous new direction. Now let's walk through exactly what happens, starting where Episode 2 left off. The episode opens with Reacher, Tamara Green, Jacob Merrick, and journalist Russell Plum trying to understand Nolan Cahill's actual connection to Anna Merrick's death. Quick refresher, because you need this context. At the end of Episode 2, Reacher recognized Cahill, Congressman Sampson's chief of staff, as the missing fourth witness from the subway car the night Anna died. That's where Episode 3 actually begins, with the group trying to figure out what that connection actually means. Here's your first pattern interrupt, because the investigation turns violent almost immediately. Russell Plum admits he posted online, publicly, about Anna's missing flash drive. That was a serious mistake. It brings an unwanted, dangerous guest directly to Plum's door. Before the group can fully process what Plum has actually found, alarms start sounding. CIA agents arrive first. Then, a second, entirely different armed group shows up. These aren't the same people. Plum's condemned ramshackle loft turns into a full siege. Multiple armed factions converging on the same location at once, all hunting the same missing drive. Reacher, predictably, handles the situation through overwhelming physical force, described by multiple critics as turning a stairwell into an exceptionally dangerous place to start a fight. Now, before all of that violence erupts, Plum actually finds something significant, and it's the detail that reframes the entire episode. He digs into Cahill's background and discovers a connection stretching back decades. Cahill wasn't simply Sampson's chief of staff. He was Sampson's commanding officer, back when Sampson served in the military in Indonesia. Suddenly, Cahill's presence on that subway car looks a lot less like coincidence. That's the thread the rest of the episode pulls on directly. Now, let's get into Lila's story, because this is genuinely the biggest reveal of the entire episode. Reacher and Lila reconnect after a separate assassination attempt targets her directly at her hotel. Another armed attacker corners Reacher, this time inside a library archive. Lila, remarkably, comes to Reacher's rescue during that fight, knocking out one of his attackers from behind at the exact moment it looks like he might actually lose. Afterward, the two of them return to Reacher's hotel to patch up his injuries. And it's there that Lila finally tells him the truth. Here's exactly what she admits. She does not have leukemia. Amisha, the woman she'd introduced as her mother, isn't her mother at all. And Congressman Sampson isn't her biological father. The entire paternity story from episode 1 was fabricated, deliberately constructed to get Reacher to help her. Her real explanation is considerably darker. Lila says she's actually a journalist, investigating alleged war crimes connected to Sampson's own Delta Force past. Let's break down what that actual story is, because it's detailed, and it matters for the rest of the season. According to Lila, back in the 1990s, Sampson's Delta Force unit trained soldiers under an Indonesian general named Putra. Putra allegedly used those forces to commit serious atrocities against his own people, including torture and killings. Amisha and her husband had protested against Putra's growing military authority. They were arrested. Amisha's husband was killed. Amisha herself carries a visible scar from the incident, a permanent reminder of what happened to her. Lila's actual goal, in her own words, isn't finding a father or a bone marrow donor. It's exposing the truth about what Sampson did, specifically before the country potentially votes him in as its next president. Now here's your mid-video rehook, because this new story does something the original lie never could. It actually explains the scale of what's happening around Reacher. Think about everything that's occurred across 3 episodes. CIA operatives abducting American police officers. Armed factions willing to kill over a single flash drive. Anna Merrick, an ordinary-seeming Pentagon employee, somehow holding Level 8 security clearance, a level of access nobody expected from someone in her position. A simple affair and a secret daughter, Lila's original story, doesn't explain any of that. A cover-up involving American-trained war crimes in Indonesia does. Multiple reviewers have pointed out exactly this, that Lila's second story fits the evidence considerably better than her first one, even though that alone doesn't make it automatically true. Reacher has already been lied to once by this exact same woman. Let's talk about what Reacher actually does with that information, because it tells you a lot about where his head is at this point in the season. He doesn't simply walk away from Lila, despite her already having deceived him once. Part of that is genuinely investigative. Her new story connects multiple previously unexplained pieces of the mystery at once. But part of it isn't purely professional anymore. One small step is the episode where the show finally stops dancing around the attraction between Reacher and Lila. After patching up his injuries, and after this confession, the two of them grow romantically close. Reacher agrees to find the flash drive himself and review its contents personally before deciding what to actually do with it. That's enough for Lila. Now, let's talk about the CIA angle, because Lila isn't the only source of danger in this episode. Even after the group escapes Plum's loft, the CIA closes in again, nearly capturing both Reacher and Lila. Reacher makes a calculated decision. He sends Lila away to safety and takes on the entire pursuing team alone. He handles the first 2 agents without much trouble. The third one presents a real challenge, enough that for a moment, it genuinely looks like Reacher might lose. That's when Lila reappears, knocking the man out with a blow to the back of the head, saving Reacher in turn. That's twice in one episode that Lila directly saves Reacher's life, which matters for understanding why he's willing to extend her at least conditional trust, despite everything. There's also a separate, additional ambush worth mentioning, because Season 4 genuinely does not let up. At another point in the episode, Reacher and Lila are ambushed again, this time at a bowling alley, with armed men forcing the entire group toward the exit at gunpoint. Reacher, for once, appears genuinely boxed in, unable to immediately fight his way out. That's a meaningful beat for this character specifically, since he's rarely shown as cornered, without an immediate physical solution available. Now let's get into the confrontation with Sampson himself, because this is where the episode's central mystery gets more complicated, not less. Reacher goes to see Sampson directly, determined to get to the bottom of everything Lila has just told him. Sampson's response is telling. He admits to having met General Putra personally, but he strongly, directly denies having committed, aided, or endorsed any of Putra's alleged war crimes. He insists the actual details of that military mission remain classified. Top secret information he isn't able to discuss. He's also adamant about one specific point. He claims Cahill wasn't actually on the subway the night Anna died. That claim is easy to disprove. Reacher was there. He saw Cahill personally, with his own eyes. That's a genuinely significant moment, because it's the first time in the season Sampson gets caught in a direct, verifiable lie. Everything else about him, the DNA test, his denial of war crimes, has been at least plausible. But denying Cahill's presence on that subway, when Reacher witnessed it directly, is different. That's not ambiguous. That's Sampson actively trying to cover something up. Now, let's get to the ending, because this is the moment that's actually defining how critics are describing the entire episode. Reacher, Lila, and the rest of the group confront Cahill together, directly. They press him on his presence on that subway, and what he actually knows about Anna's death. Cahill refuses to explain anything. He won't say why he was there. He won't say what Anna knew. Instead, he turns, apologizes to Sampson, specifically, and then jumps off the roof to his death. Here's what that ending actually confirms, and why multiple critics have singled it out as the episode's most powerful moment. Anna's death, on its own, could still be interpreted several different ways. Fear, coercion, personal desperation. But Cahill choosing death, specifically the moment Reacher identifies him as the missing witness, creates an unmistakable pattern. Two people, both directly connected to the same secret, both choosing to die rather than discuss what they actually know. Whatever this conspiracy actually is, it's serious enough that suicide has become the safer option, twice now, for two different people. Let's talk about where all of that leaves things heading into Episode 4. By the end of Episode 3, Anna and Cahill are both dead. Ben, Anna's son, remains completely missing. Lila has admitted to lying to Reacher once and offered a second explanation that fits the evidence, but still isn't independently confirmed. Two separate, unidentified armed groups are actively hunting the same flash drive. And Reacher himself heads to Baltimore at the episode's close, determined to confront Sampson directly about everything he's just learned regarding both him and Cahill's true history together. Now here's my honest read on where this actually goes from here. I think Lila's story about General Putra and Amisha holds up, at least in its broad strokes, because it's the only explanation so far that actually accounts for the scale of everyone hunting this flash drive. But I think the show is deliberately leaving room for one more layer of deception, given that Lila has already lied convincingly once already this season. I think Cahill's death confirms Sampson is hiding something real, even if he isn't necessarily guilty of the specific atrocities Lila describes. And I think the show is building towards Sampson being protected by this cover-up rather than being its original architect. And I think Ben, Anna's missing son, becomes a central focus of Episode 4, since his location remains completely unaccounted for after 3 full episodes. So here's where that leaves us heading into episode 4, Karambits and Pieces, airing August 19th. A congressman caught in his first direct, provable lie. A journalist whose real story finally fits the scale of the conspiracy around her, even if it isn't fully verified yet. 2 dead witnesses, both choosing silence over survival. And Jack Reacher, heading straight for a confrontation in Baltimore, with more questions now than when this episode actually started. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Lila's new story about General Putra and her connection to Amisha? Or do you think there's still another layer of deception coming? What do you think Sampson is actually hiding, given that he's now been caught in a direct, provable lie about Cahill? And where do you think Anna's son Ben actually is, 3 full episodes into this investigation? Let me know your theory in the comments. Subscribe if you want the episode 4 breakdown the moment it airs August 19th, and I'll see you in the next one.